Cool. Well, speaking of the future, what do you have any long-term goals for your business?
I do. My goals for a business now are vastly different from those when I started 3 years ago, for a variety of reasons. I really wanted to get into a brick and mortar store. I even applied to have an antique mall booth, and I took all these great photos, and I don't know if you've applied for an antique mall booth, but it's a whole production. Like, you got to give them photos and tell them, how many years you've been doing this, and what you sell and how you're going to set stuff up and how often you're going to manage it. Like, you really have to like put yourself
A
out
lot.
there. So I filled out this whole application, took all these photos, and within 5 minutes I had a rejection. They,
Wow.
yeah, they told me that my online presence was too much competition for them. And
Well, that's a
I
good
was like,
sign of your business, though, that your business is doing
I don't
well.
know if I should be insulted or flattered. So that combined with I've talked to a lot of owners of brick and mortar antique stores, and they all say stay online if it works online. So a combination of those two pieces of advice, I guess, they've changed drastically. My goals have changed drastically over the years, and I still kind of really love the idea of eventually, because especially since I'm in Atlanta, and Atlanta is like Hollywood of the East now. I would love to get into doing movie props and TV props. There's actually a shop here in Atlanta, an antique shop here in Atlanta that I buy from pretty often, because they host online auctions that they do a lot of the props in Atlanta right now. So they're kind of my like what I'm looking toward. It's just that's my big goal. I don't know if I will get to that or not. Being diagnosed with MS last year also really changed the trajectory of my goals, because it became, because I used to be very much a big lofty goal kind of person, push myself. But getting a major health diagnosis like that, just kind of puts you in check of what you're able to do. And so I've slowed down a whole lot since then. And so I think my goals have slowed down a lot as well. And so just being able to get to a point of really just being sustainable with my business as far as income, and just keeping me busy. So that's pretty much my big goal right now.
Great, great. So, do you sell on other platforms or just Instagram?
I sell on a lot of platforms. I cannot recommend it enough to people who really want to sell and get things going. Is cross posting. It's a big old headache, and not only just the work of like making all the different listings, but also remembering to take them down when they sell over here. You got to take it
Yes.
down over there. Can't tell you how many times I've had something sell and be like, oh crap, that sold last week. So just kind of just keeping track of it all is a big headache. But I sell I sell a lot on eBay. I have like this, I think everybody has this love-hate relationship with eBay. It's a great platform to sell on, especially once you get your shop built up on there, because Etsy or eBay is only as good as how often you can be found, and the more listings you have, the more you can be found. And so it's taken me 3 years, but I've gotten to a point where I have over 600 listings in my eBay shop. And so I'm just constantly working to maintain that. But having 600 listings in my eBay shop means I have a pretty steady flow of sales coming from eBay. I have at least 2 or 3 sales a day on eBay.
That's
And so,
a great
yeah, no,
return.
it's great. It's a whole lot of work, but it's wonderful. And like most people, I actually started out selling on Etsy, and I have, I think, close to 700 sales on Etsy. But I've been just letting it go, because Etsy has made so many big changes, and I feel like none of those changes have benefited the vintage community. I feel
Mm.
like they've done some that have benefited the handmade community, which is awesome. But I feel like the vintage community is really not being found anymore. Like unless I am paying Etsy to promote my listings, I am not being seen. I'm getting like 0 views. And so at one time I had about 500 listings on my Etsy shop, and now I think it's down to like 30, because I'm just kind of letting it slowly die off. And just not deal with it anymore. I also sell on, if you sell on eBay, you should also be selling on this site called Bonanza. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
So Bonanza is the easiest site to cross list on because once you set up your eBay, you set up your Bonanza, and there's a button on Bonanza that cross lists automatically everything you have on your eBay.
Wow.
And it sells,
Pretty cool.
or if you take it off of your eBay, it takes it off Bonanza. So you really never have to look at Bonanza, and you're on another platform. And I don't make a whole lot of sales on there because, again, you've never heard of it. It's not a super popular platform. But I get
technology is cool.
Yeah, yeah. And just the fact that it's no more work. It's just, it's there, which is awesome. And that it automatically takes it off when I take it off eBay. That's a big thing. So I sell on there a lot. I would say like I get maybe 1 or 2 sales a month off of there. So it's not a whole lot, but for the work, it's great. I also sell on Poshmark. I started out selling clothes on Poshmark. I did that for a year. But when Poshmark opened up the home market, I just started putting all of my stuff on Poshmark. And I do probably 1 or 2 sales a week on there. Again, it's not like super great, but it's not super difficult to make listings on Poshmark. So I kind of keep that up. And then I also sell on this website called Cherish. It's spelled chair, like a chair you sit in, ish.com. And yeah, and so somebody, I don't even remember who it was at this point, but another seller messaged me on Instagram, and she just said, she's like, I am not gaining anything from telling you this. I am just letting you know, sharing the knowledge that you need to be selling on Cherish. That the things you're selling right now on Instagram, if you list them on Cherish, you'll sell them for 10 times as much. And she was right. It is an interesting platform because it is essentially it's an Etsy geared toward high-end decorators, and so it's a whole lot of work to kind of get it going. It's free to set up the shop, but they do have really high commission rates. But things sell for so much more on there that it really just, you end up making more anyway. And so to get started on Cherish is kind of a headache because it's a whole lot more work to make the listings. But once I create the listings, they have to go through an approval process. And it can take up to a week before they even approve or deny it. About half the listings I try to create on there, they actually deny because they really curate their website to be exactly what they want it to be. So it is a whole lot of work.
But that's cool because you're gonna, if they accept it, you're probably gonna sell it and higher dollar too.
Yeah, absolutely. And my favorite thing about Cherish is the shipping. Actually, is they handle the shipping. So if something sells, I just drop it off the UPS store. I don't package it or anything.
That's awesome. That's my worst part.
Yeah, the high-end collectibles, the high-end fine art, even some of the mid-century stuff. Like I saw a lot of brass on there, a lot of tapestries. So anything that you could see like in a high-end decor, house, I guess is something that you should consider just listing on Cherish, just trying it out and just seeing. So I right now I only have about 30 listings on Cherish because it is like an arduous process to get up on there, but I'm just trying to grow it more and trying to have more of a presence on that platform.
Great. So those are some great recommendations. Are there any other recommendations that you'd give to folks just starting out in the industry?
Definitely. My biggest thing is before you go out shopping, because shopping is the funnest part of this job. The sourcing is the best part. Before you do that, definitely do your research. Because I went out and I bought anything and everything when I first started. And, when you go to yard sales or estate sales or thrift stores, stuff is cheap. And, I might find 20 figurines of I bought a lot of Mary Moo Moos when I first started. Little cows, just because I thought they were cute. And I still have some of those. Yep.
I think we've all got that stash of stuff we bought originally thinking we'd get $300 and yeah, not happening.
Right, right. So just do your research. Even just looking at all of the other wonderful shops on Instagram, but also just looking at solds on eBay, just seeing what is moving and what people are interested in right now is so important because yes, you can get a in this business you can get a lot of inventory really fast and for pretty cheap, but having the space to keep that inventory, because for how
Right.
it might sit, is really important.
Right. Goodness.
Yeah.
So, I forgot to ask some pretty basic questions that I think everybody wants to know. Oddly Endearing, how did you come up with that name and what does it mean to you?
So the full name is Oddly Endearing Artifacts, but I quickly realized that that was too long to be an Instagram handle or shop name. So it kind of just got condensed to Oddly Endearing. Around our house, we just call it OEA. But when I first started, I really thought that I wanted to be in the oddities business, taxidermies and weird stuff, because I've got some of that myself, and so I thought that that was what I wanted to do. But I have learned over the years that getting into the oddities business is a whole different world than what I wanted to do really.
Yeah.
Because in Atlanta we have some amazing oddities dealers, and they have the money to buy up everything. so
Yeah.
there is almost no market to even buy oddities in Atlanta right now. And so that became quickly apparent to me when I first wanted to get started in the oddities business. And it presented itself to me that the vintage business was way easier to get into, but also easier to maintain. And be at a price point that I can keep going, because as I have grown in this business, I've learned that the vintage community is where I belong, and I love being there. But the name Oddly Endearing just kind of stuck, and I feel like I myself am a little oddly endearing. so,
That's a
uh,
very fitting name. Good job. Good job.
thank you.
So, is there anything else you want to share with the world that we haven't covered?
I don't think so. We talked about a lot of things. Um, I'm really excited about this uh, interview series, and I hope that more people volunteer to be a part of it. I am always taking volunteers. I
Perfect.
have a list of like a couple more people right now. I just, when somebody says, "Hey, I'm interested," I just put them on my list and just kind of working down. So I want to make sure that everybody gets known and everybody gets seen and introduced, because we know each other by our
Yeah.
usernames, but just putting a face to each other, I think, is really
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, it's hard to even remember first names, I think,
Yeah,
because you just know them by the handle. So that's fun. So, and what made you get started in doing these interviews? That's a great question.
I love the idea of being able to put a face to a name, and you really can't do that on the internet. And I noticed there were, I forget, I can't think, like the crazy lamp lady, and a
Mhm.
couple others of those like big YouTubers, and they get so many views, and like people are really invested in who they are.
Yeah.
And I've seen people buy stuff just because they wanted to buy that thing from that person, because it's
Yep.
almost like a celebrity in the vintage community. And
I wonder how many of us actually got started because of the crazy lamp lady, because I did.
yeah. So like I saw them doing that, and I was like, I think everybody needs to be able to have a chance to have that platform to be seen, and to introduce yourself, and just become known to the wider community of who you are. So that's what I hope comes out of this series, that people feel like we know each other a little bit better, maybe a little closer, and yeah, and promoting along the way.
Well, it's a great thing you're doing, and I've really enjoyed watching. So, and thank you for letting us interview you too, because we want to get to know you. So, thank you so much, and this has been really fun.
Thank you, and I will see you on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you'd like to know more about me, check out the Voyage Atlanta article online. Thanks, guys.